not good. Things sort of became a little bit dark for a while after that.
Talk about that a little bit. You talk about that a lot in the book too.
I
want to go back a little bit.
Sure.
We're at Chef Louis, Chef Louis in New Canaan, Where Fairy Tales Go, a love story. Annette Ross, please go read this book. It's for every girl. I told you that. I said it's for every girl. It's for every mom. It's for every wife. It's for every person. It's for every guy. It's a story. It's everybody has their journey. This is yours, and you're sharing it with us. And thank you for doing that. So, your family. We'll talk about the kids. We'll talk about Bill and the struggle and how you are today and how life has been. You were adopted.
I was.
Into a loving family.
Yes.
Very close with your father.
Very.
Not so much with your mom.
No.
Tell us about that a little bit. And then finding your birth mom. Because I wonder about...
Did you see her picture?
Yes. Beautiful.
She was.
I mean, she looks like you.
Oh, really? You think
so? You don't. Well, from the picture, I thought so.
Oh, that's so interesting. I sort of thought she looked like... She looks like the girls, you know? But she was.
But the girls look like you. They really do.
Yeah, I was at so my mom was young and working at a piano bar and had an affair and had me. But that was really a negative thing for her in her life. And she put me to the Sisters of Notre Dame. Mm-hmm. And I was there for, I think, only 9 months. I always thought it was longer, but actually I think it was only like 9 months. And then my parents took me in as a foster child. And then they kept me and adopted me. So I really only lived at the Sisters of Notre Dame for a short time, and then Mom and Dad, who had me as a foster child, adopted me because my mom and dad had foster kids. And my mom was Irish Catholic. I don't know how else to describe her. Because I didn't have a huge loving connection with her, doesn't mean that she and my dad were very close.
They had a beautiful
They had a beautiful, long marriage. Yes. She was just a meat and potatoes kind of woman. Mm-hmm. Not super demonstrative.
Right.
And I think in some ways, it's hard for her maybe that my dad and I were so close that I was just so drawn to him. But I think it was his faith. I think it was the fact that he made me feel very special. From the moment I could understand anything, my father made me feel that I was special. He did.
And you are.
I mean, to have a man do that for you, though, your father,
yes.
I feel like that's why I married such an incredible person. Because my dad, if someone didn't treat me right, I was always like, this doesn't feel right. Someone should think I'm special.
Right.
What's up with that?
Right.
So.
And God puts people in our lives for a reason. So.
I think God does do that. Like, I don't know what God does, as you can see in the book.
Yes.
No idea what God's up to. But yeah, I'm grateful for all the people in my path. Tremendously so. At times it's disappointing. I've been disappointed, but wow. People have done it for me.
It was important for you to go find your birth mom.
I did. I wanted to meet her, and then at first they said no because she was in a fragile state. And then when she was dying, they called me because now they knew how to reach me, and I was hurt by then. And they're like, "Well, she's in a wheelchair. We don't want you to be surprised." I'm like, "Well, so am I," because when I first met them, I wasn't. So we drove out to Chicago with Natalie and Anna, and we got a chance to meet her before she died. She was in a wheelchair because of the brain tumor.
That was healing for you, though, right?
It was. Even though she didn't say, like, oh, see, Wendy, get it out of my head. What do I want things to be like? She didn't say, like, oh, I love you. Oh, I thought about you so much. I mean, she looked at Bill and said, you're lucky you have this guy. And I said, you're right. I am.
Wow.
And so that was a really moment. And she was like, hey, and she didn't have a lot to say to me. But she really tried hard to never remember the day that I was born because it was just so painful for her. So even though I couldn't process it then, I'm so glad I met her. She was so beautiful.
Yes.
I'm glad I'm connected to her family. And I think in some ways, I hope it was good for her to meet me too. And actually, I think she really loved meeting the girls.
Oh,
I mean, look what she did. Because she said yes to my life. She has these 5 beautiful people on the planet.
What a way to say it. What a way to say it. Live from New Canaan, Connecticut at Chef Louis. I'm here with Annette Ross, who maybe might come back one day to New Canaan. Her book, Where Fairy Tales Go, a love story. Thank you for sharing your story with us today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for writing this book and letting me read it and letting me be here and tell your story with you. It means a lot, and you're so special. So tell me, how's life now, today, the girls?
The girls are 18, 16, 13, 11, and 3, Georgia.
You got it all. You got it all.
So we just put Natalie to college, right? That was a very emotional thing. And actually, they're good. I mean, it's the stuff that you would think that you go through. And I say in the book, as you know, that sometimes I wonder how they'll make sense of life with me having their mom in a wheelchair, and how I wanted them to know me in a different way. But I think the thing that they have known is that Bill and I have a really great, deep love for each other and a commitment. I think at least I've given them that, because as they go out into the world, that is what I want for them, to find love and to love and be loved. And so I know I want the successes. I know I wanted this stable sort of home. I know I didn't want them moving around back and forth the way we have. But I try to make peace with it by saying that I really believe I have good relationships with all of them, very deep and thoughtful. We really talk. I'm really there for them. And even though I wanted to have those memories of like running on the beach and doing those sorts of physical things, and I know sometimes they get frustrated that the chair has to come along, or like, Mom, do you have to go to the bathroom again? That type of thing.
You write about that in the book a lot too, and you write about that it hasn't always been easy.
No.
And that sometimes they're like, Mom, it's like you're holding them up, and they're typical teenagers. And,
yes, they have a life to live.
Right, and they're busy. Right, and to this day, sometimes I embarrass my kids too by just like being in the car and driving them. I mean, you know, with kids, you never know if they're going to want you to be around or not want you to be around.
Right.
And then to add this, so you wonder, but you have, you know, this is only can empower them.
I hope so. I hope in their life what it really does for them, and what I tell them a lot, is give them
empathy.
Yeah, and compassion. And when people do something extraordinary for me, and then they often do a lot of wonderful things for our family. We've had a lot of people support us in so many ways. I would say to the girls, that's what I wanted you to take from it. Not take like, oh, but they helped us, or they felt bad for you, or whatever. No. When you're out in the world, and you see someone, you help them.
Be kind.
And that's okay.
Right.
That's okay. You know, you're gracious, and that's what you do in life. And you look at the differences made in our life. So that actually doesn't always work well with the kids at their ages, because, like you said, they get embarrassed so easily.
From 3 to 18, forgot. I mean, yeah. That's not easy in general.
But
I mean,
actually,
did you think though back then? Do you think life would have been different if this hadn't happened? Would you have had 5 kids? Do you wonder ever?
I do wonder all the time. I do. I'm sorry to say that, but I do wonder. And I think
would you and Bill be here? Would you be in Chicago? Where would you be? Would it be just Natalie? You know?
The only way it could be different is if in the very beginning, you know, God came down and said, which life would you choose? I mean, knowing the girls and loving them the way I do, I would never choose a different life.
No.
No way. Of course, you'd give your life for your kid. You'd give your legs for your kids, for sure.
Yes.
You give your life for your children.
Yes.
So when I'm really frustrated or really feeling like this isn't how I hoped it would be, I say to myself, I say in my prayers, I ask God to bless them. Because if that goes well, I'm going to be okay.
Right, as long as my kids are okay.
That's really, truly how I feel.
I've always used this phrase a lot. I said, where there's love, there is life. And you prove that so true throughout the entire book with every journey that you went on, whether it was your parents, you were adopted, or you're finding your birth mom,
right?
Bill, your father, your the moves, losing your father, all these things. It's like where there's life, there is love.
That is so true.
Where there is love, there is life.
That is
like the
so
circle
true.
of and maybe you wouldn't have had all the kids. Maybe Mia wouldn't. You don't know. So we're blessed that we're here. And what do you want everyone to know about you? I mean, you today. Tell us about you today.
Oh, me today. Oh, wow. Wendy gave me a stumper right at the very end.
Me today. You today.
The one thing, here's what I want everyone to know about me today. That I love my husband more than I loved him when I married him. I do. Even though I saw things in him that surprised me, even though at times it was hard to forgive, that I look at him every night when we go to bed, and I'm glad he's next to me. I love him even more. I didn't know that I could love someone and actually accept them for their flaws too. I didn't even know I had the power to do that, not power, the ability, or enough love to do that. That I was like, my gosh, with everything we've been through, and with looking at him and seeing that he's not perfect and seeing that sometimes he's disappointed me, I still love him more.
And he's still next to you.
Oh.
Well, he was supposed to be here, but he's on his way. Bill. But he's next to you.
Yeah.
Beside you, in front of you, behind you. He's there. He's been there through everything. Yeah. How many people can say that? How many people can say they found love in this lifetime?
In that sense, I feel like God gave me exactly what I asked for. I wanted to fall in love. And I did.
And you did. And where you follow Bill, you'll be okay. Your dad said that, right?
He did.
So maybe you might come back one day?
Maybe. We're just waiting to see how it all plays out.
And for those out
surprising.
there, for anyone out there who is struggling with anything, whether it's whatever they have, whatever their journey is, whatever their tragedy is, whatever their story is, what would you say to them?
Oh, wow.
Keep the faith?
I don't know if I'd say keep the faith.
Because that was hard at times, right?
It was for me. I'd say sometimes it's okay if you can just get up and put one foot in front of the other.
Right.
And that's all you can do that day. I feel like it's really good if you can be forgiving of yourself. It's okay. It's okay when you're not your perfect self. It's okay the days when I'm yelling at the girls or feeling a little bit like crawling down the stairs is a little bit too much for me. When those days, if I can just get up and look at the girls and do what I need to do for them and for Bill, those days are okay. Doesn't matter that I didn't move a mountain, you know?
Right. I'm
just like, was Sisyphus, or what's the guy who pushes it up the hill just a little bit?
Right. Is there days where you're like, you know what, it's okay to just not have a good day today. It's okay to like want to be by myself today. It's okay. Do you allow yourself those times?
For sure I do, and I think it's really great that
for
the girls know I'm human.
Right.
I think the girls truly know that. I haven't hid that from them. I've tried to be a really loving mother, but I think that they know that I'm also a human being, and I take them in on that journey. They really know me too. That part of it has been a gift. I hope, at least no worries, Wendy. They don't see me as perfect.
Right, and none of us are perfect. You know, none of us are. We all want to be perfect, but we're not. And we all have our own flaws, and that's part of human. So this book, Where Fairy Tales Go, a love story by Annette Ross. Everyone should read this book. I mean, it was from start to finish. I had your whole journey here, and I'm glad you wrote this book. Did it help to write it?
It did. It was really cathartic for me. I love writing. I think I would write again, probably about the girls. I love to write.
I know, and now their next stage, one went to college, and then follow their life through too, right?
It's such a joy to be able to write it down.
And what are their dreams? What are the girls' dreams?
I think they're so young. I think they're evolving. I think Natalie's dream was to go to college, and she's there right now, and having more fun than any of us. So
I bet she is.
Great time. Aww. She's going to be coming up, to New Canaan tomorrow. I'm going to see her, and I miss her every day. But you know what? I am comforted in that she's happy, and I'm seeing that part of being a mother is letting go.
Yeah.
Part of living life is letting go.
That's not the easiest. We give them their wings, and we tell them, we're supposed to just give it. Then you did your job.
Fly but fly close.
Right.
Fly and live your life.
And it's not always been perfect, and that's part of Where Fairy Tales Goes, a love story.
Thanks for joining me for this episode of What's Up with Wendy. If you loved this episode, head over to iTunes or your favorite platform to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Please also follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at What's Up with Wendy. And you can learn more about me and my podcast on my website, whatsupwithwendy.com. And remember, only you can make you happy.